Should alarm bells be raised at Banc of California Stadium over how LAFC is playing? Clayton Kershaw will be back in less than a week for the Dodgers. And what should qualify as progress for LA Kings wonder prospect Quinton Byfield? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It's February 28th, 2022. Busy Sunday, unfortunately for me, so I got to knock this bad boy out as quick as I can. If you like the content we've been talking about, LA sports, hey, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we have new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Who said I was perfect? I got to clean up some mistakes today anyway. Before we start talking about the news and notes, take a quick look at the scoreboard. Dave Roberts called Marlins pitcher Sandy Alcantara a buzzsaw. And man, did he show it. Miami 2, Dodgers 1. Let's not fret. Dodgers have this massive lead in the NL West. Meanwhile, in exhibition football, Cincinnati 16, the Rams 7. Rams finished 1-2. But the question I would have is, can undrafted rookie wide receiver Lance McCutcheon make the team? If so, the Rams might have as many as 8 wide receivers on the roster. They are that deep. Saturday, he had 5 more receptions, 15 total in the preseason. Crazy. Meanwhile, in today's action, 9 a.m., the Dodgers will finish up their series in Miami. That's Julio Urias, 13-7, Edward Cabrera, 4-1. And tonight, the Galaxy are in New England. Now, if you follow MLS at all, the New England Revolution were supposed to be one of the favorites for MLS Cup. If the playoffs started today, neither team would be in the MLS Cup playoffs. Big game for both teams tonight. Now, the following analysis may be too simplistic, okay? I get you. I am not a soccer expert. There are plenty of people who are smarter at it than I am. But sometimes the best counsel you can get is simplistic. It's possible that LAFC has spent so much time piling up striker after striker after striker that midfield and the back line have gone to seed. Possible. See, the black and gold, they have only averaged 1 goal over the last 3 games. Just 1 in each game. 2 of them losses, okay? A couple of weeks ago, they eke out a 1-0 victory over DC United. Oh, great, it's a victory, right? But it's against the worst team in the Eastern Conference. Then they fall to San Jose 2-1. And then, of course, on Friday night, they get the hell kicked out of them by Austin 4-1. So it's gradually starting to sink. Not that it is sunk, but gradually starting to sink. See, you could talk about all the big names. You could talk about Gareth Bale. You could talk about Dennis Bawanga. You could talk Carlos Vela. But in the last 3 matches, sorry, I have trouble with foreign names sometimes. Kwadwo Opoku has scored twice. Did you know who he was? Unless you were a fan of the black and gold. Christian Orongo has scored the other. Meanwhile, against Austin, the back line got beaten like a drum 4 times, obviously. So Austin coach Josh Wolf said as much after the match. They interview him and he goes, he basically was saying about how there are ways to beat LAFC that is basically trying to keep the ball away from that incredible front line of attackers that they have. Quote, continually asking questions of the back line and that middle 3 to tire them out, make them work and suffer. Is there a strategic way that soccer fanatics and soccer coaches know to basically try to wall off, in one way or another, the ball from being passed to these international superstars who are in LAFC's front line? And if so, they have 5 quality strikers. They can only play 3. You've spent so much time doing that. It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of spending so much of your NFL salary cap on wide receivers and quarterbacks and getting the cheapest offensive line possible, in my arrogant little opinion. See, the Galaxy may have been guilty of the same thing a few years ago. They were winning a few MLS Cups in the early part of the 2010s, and then they go out, they add Giovanni Dos Santos, they add Steven Gerrard, and ESPN, they were gushing over the Galaxy roster back then when Steven Gerrard arrived. Oh, this team could score 5 goals a match. They didn't. They stunk. Is it possible that LAFC is doing the same thing? I am not going to tell you here that LAFC is not a threat to win MLS Cup or that they won't win the Supporters Shield. But what I am saying is that their ambition to score at all costs has exposed them. What I'm saying is that it appears to be, at least it appears to be, a disconnect between that tremendous group of strikers that they have and the midfield and back line. And you can be damn sure that every team in MLS right now is going through that game tape trying to replicate exactly what Austin has done, because Austin's beaten him twice. Clayton Kershaw pitched a simulated game prior to Saturday's game in Miami, said he's ready to return. It'll probably either be Thursday in New York or Friday when the Dodgers return back home. What should the Kings and their fans, such as myself, expect from Quinton Byfield? He's a former number 2 pick, and you would expect a number 2 pick to make a pretty doggone profound impact in relatively short order. Because the last time the Kings drafted that high, they got defenseman Drew Doughty. And Doughty's been a mainstay for over a decade. Instant impact. Now, Byfield is only 20. But when will he take the NHL by storm? It's hard to say. Here's why. He's a center. They don't really fancy him as being a winger or trying to get him to change. And the Kings right now don't need him to be a franchise savior, which is what you would expect from a number 1 and number 2 pick. He doesn't need to save the franchise because he is a center, and the Kings already have at center Anze Kopitar, who should be a Hall of Famer, and Philip Deneau, who scored a career high in goals last year. So you start off with Kopitar's line, Deneau's line, and then Quinton Byfield comes in at number 3. The pressure's off. But with the pressure being off comes diminished ice time. So that's these are the things that make it hard to say. An elite center is going to get 15 to 18 minutes a game. Byfield at this stage in his career is only going to get 12 to 15. So for what I understand, a third line center should probably average about 0.5 point a game over the course of an 80 game season. Translation, obviously, doing the math, about 40 points. He could get that with relative ease for the Kings. And if he gets more, then the Kings become a significantly deeper threat in the NHL because they had trouble scoring last year. If he gets more than 40 points, look out. Because also he's projected to center a line with sniper Arthur Kaliev as left wing. Kaliev scored 14 goals last year as a rookie. If Kaliev can start pushing closer to 20, which isn't such of a stretch for somebody who thinks shoot first and somebody who's as effective as Kaliev, if he pushes 20 and Byfield's on that line, Byfield is close to halfway there. Maybe you get something from Alex Iafallo, and if Byfield carries his own weight, 40 points should be a minimum, in my arrogant little opinion, for Quinton Byfield. We have less than a week to go before USC takes the field for the first time under new coach Lincoln Riley and an entirely rebuilt roster. They will be playing Rice. Now, if you're a longtime fan of the Trojans, you recall that when they were among elite programs and even slightly less than elite, they took on all comers in the non-conference schedule. It was macho. They would go out, they would take on Auburn, Penn State, Florida State, Alabama. These are games that I can think of off the top of my head. Now, they're not doing that now. which is kind of sucks. But in this case, you kind of got to give him a pass. New coach, so much turnover in the roster. And on top of that, I would also give him a pass because of the things that I'm reading from defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. I get the impression that the defensive line needs a lot of work, and that the backfield show an improvement, but they're not there either. You know, you can kind of say that, okay, in the backfield, Sayre Wright has surpassed Amani Jackson to become the number 2 cornerback, so the competition has been good there. But maybe the safeties, maybe not quite there yet. You could also definitely count on the linebackers. I think the linebackers are about as close to set as they're going to get, and especially when you look at transferring Arizona State transfer linebacker Eric Gentry. He has electrified the training camp. People can't stop raving about the things he's been doing. Basically, I would say until the defensive line gets settled, it's good. One, it's good that they're playing a team like Rice to start off, to see a little bit more about what they have. Try and get them in a better condition to play as a unit. And I'd also expect a lot of blitzing. I would. If you can't trust the defensive line, how do you expect them to get penetration? So yeah, I'd expect a lot of blitzing from the linebackers and defensive backs. Meanwhile, The Athletic forecasts USC to finish 3rd in the Pac-12, and I think that's actually at this juncture probably a fair assessment. They also believe that Caleb Williams is going to be the player of the year in the conference. Now, regarding the Bruins, ESPN and the LA Times both expect UCLA to start off the season at 5-0. But then comes conference favorite Utah on October 8th. And by the way, I still feel that for all the talk that we give about USC and the Bruins, we haven't given due respect to the Utes. The Utes, the national press, they put them up there for a reason. They play physical football. I like physical football. We'll just have to see how things play out. But in that race to 5-0 is at least one trap game. And the first trap game would probably be the conference opener against Colorado at the Rose Bowl. If UCLA stumbles in that game, all bets are off. Not just about the 5-0 start, obviously, but for the rest of the season. If they lose to Colorado, they are in trouble of not hitting their target of 9 wins. They get less than 9 wins, you're going to hear about Chip Kelly being on the hot seat a ton, again. I feel bad about bringing this up, but there are more boring-ass rumors about Russell Westbrook, and I'm here to tell you, I don't even want to get into them. Why bother? It's the same turd every day. It's the same turd about Russell Westbrook, the same turd about the Lakers. At some point, you gotta wipe and flush. Wouldn't you say? So yeah, we've wiped, we've flushed, until something breaks. Tired of the rumors. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something here for LA Sports. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Take care.